A $12,000 drone versus a $3 billion fuel lifeline. One blows, the other burns. You're here for Novorossiysk, yes, the operation that turned a steel artery feeding tank brigades into a 300-foot fireball. We'll map the decoy swarm, the radar wobble, and the FPV drop that ruptured hundreds of feet of pipeline. Stay to see how a feint with cheap drones opened a corridor past S-400s, and why that pause in fuel flow matters more than any single tank kill. What makes a buried pipe more decisive than a battalion of tanks? A tank moves the fight. A pipe keeps the fight moving. You can lose a platoon and still advance, lose the flow and the line freezes. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Novorossiysk sits on the Black Sea like a valve on a main. Port cranes feed tankers, tankers feed storage, storage feeds lines that push fuel inland to the southern and western fronts. Steel tubes converge, split, and push again, linking rail yards, motor pools, and airfields. It's a gateway, not just a dock. You cut here, the echo runs far downrange. Russia layers its air shield over that coast. Radar nets sweep, surface-to-air batteries hold long reach, and quick-reaction crews wait to fire. That shield is pricey and thick. But fuel doesn't wander. It follows mapped rights-of-way, fixed pump cycles, and set pressure limits. There aren't many spare paths. When one route goes cold, the workarounds are slow, messy, and loud. Walk the logistics in your head. Tank farms ring the port with tall welded shells and fire lanes between. From those farms, pumping stations push product with impellers and metering skids watch flow. Pressure valves sit at junctions to keep the line stable when demand surges. One buried node governs throughput for several lines at once, like a choke collar on a steel serpent. Tighten it, and the whole body slows. Close it, and the body stops. Think of it like blood. The heart is the port. The arteries are the pipelines. Units are the limbs. Cut the flow and the limbs go numb. Engines cough. Convoys wait. Air sorties slip on the schedule. You don't need to wound the muscle if you can clamp an artery in the right place. Now cost. You're looking at a hub and its web, concrete, steel, sensors, worth billions. It's built to last, insured by depth and redundancy. Yet a cheap asset that can reach 1 week seam flips the math. A small drone, a shaped charge, a few minutes of disruption at the right junction can force shutdowns, trigger safety trips, and turn the restart into a long, chore-heavy process. That is asymmetric gold. Why is this ground truth exposed while the air looks locked down? Sensors face up. They cue on fast movers, noisy emitters, and clear radar returns. Long-range systems own altitude and speed, not buried joints and dirt-covered valve pits. Pipes don't ping a radar. A junction box doesn't light a thermal scream until it's already burning. So the sky feels guarded. The substrate stays quiet, and that silence hides the real hinge. So where is the blind spot? It's at grade level and under it. Access roads with sporadic patrols. Fence lines that stop people, not flying plastic. Berms that hide trenches but not the heat once the leak starts. Maintenance hatches that open on bolts, not biometric locks. These are not air defense problems. They're attention problems. Here's the mini payoff. The softest point of the hub isn't the tank farm with foam monitors and hydrants. It's the convergence where multiple lines meet under high pressure and automatic valves sit ready to trip. Hit that node with a focused blast, and the system chokes on its own protection. Pressure drops, alarms cascade, and controllers shut more valves to stop the loss, which spreads the stall. So the question becomes simple. You don't need to win the sky if you can borrow a corridor through it. The play is to open a narrow window past S-400 coverage, make the shield look the wrong way for half a minute, and slip a blade into the seam. How do you cut that path without air supremacy, and make it hold long enough to land one precise strike at the junction? How does a $500 decoy make a billion-dollar radar lie for 30 seconds? By telling it a story it wants to believe, and telling it loudly. You flood the scope with cheap blips up high, where the operators expect trouble, and you make the picture wobble. The playbook starts with altitude. Decoy drones climb into the engagement bands and trace messy tracks. They bank, they vary speed, they flash just enough signature to trip locks. Meanwhile, your real eyes stay low. Quiet reconnaissance platforms ride ground effect, follow power lines, and feed targeting without a peep on the big boards. 2 layers, 2 jobs. 1 shouts. 1 whispers. Now the tension. Batteries come alive. Launchers slew. Short-range units go active. Pilots get the call and spin. The spectrum fills with pulses, sweeps, and bursts. Exactly when a precision team needs clean air, the room turns into a nightclub of noise. You use that chaos. You don't fight it. This is a blended kit. Cheap decoys make noise. Recon drones give truth. A single FPV, built for speed and control, carries the cut. If you want to understand the tactical mindset that wins these battles, subscribe now. Because this is SEAD by wallet, not by weight. You pay pennies to draw out million-dollar systems, then you spend 1 blade where it counts. Electronic warfare keeps the beat. Spoofing slips false cues into the radar chain. Jamming hops across bands and adds delay to track updates. The effect is desync, targets drift, headings smear, and engagement logic chases ghosts at the edge of coverage. One battery hesitates for launch authority while another burns ammo on clutter. You don't need total blackout. You need stutter. Timing is the real weapon. While the shield focuses up high and out far, the quiet threat slides in at treetop. The FPV rides a corridor that is not a hole, but a moment. It hugs terrain, threads under the main lobes, and takes handoffs from the recon eyes that already mapped the approach. When the window opens, it sprints. The target is the junction. 2 high-pressure arms meet under the soil with automatic valves standing by. An elbow-shaped charge goes on the nose. Shaped charges don't spread blast, they shape it into a metal jet that eats through steel like a drill and fast forward. On impact, that jet punches a slit. High-pressure fuel does the rest. Heat meets flow, vapor turns to fire, and a small breach becomes a ripping wound. You get the physics and the picture. Pressure drops trip sensors. Flow control snaps shut upstream and downstream, but not before a plume kicks out and lights. The burn climbs. The plume marks the strike for miles, but more important, it tells every operator on the line the network just failed. A narrow window. A clean drop. A flash. Hundreds of feet of pipeline disabled. A plume as tall as a downtown tower. The beauty, if you can call it that, is the bypass. High-end systems were not beaten in a duel. They were pulled wide, fed distractions, and left staring at the wrong altitude while a low-cost blade slid into the seam. That's how a $500 lie buys 30 seconds of truth. With flow cut and crews scrambling, the next failure isn't metal. It's time, tempo, and trust. Controllers juggle alarms. Fire teams hunt valves by map and habit. Dispatchers shift convoys to rail and road and burn hours doing it. And the unit waiting downrange? It starts to count the minutes between sorties and refuel cycles. A cheap swarm can bend a rich shield. 1 precise cut stalls more armor than a week of tank kills. That's the lesson when a steel serpent feeds war and you sever it at the joint. You saw the method: decoy, jam, strike. If you track the tactics that win, subscribe and comment your assessment, cut fuel lines or hunt air defenses first. Comment your choice below. This is the story of leverage, not mass. Wars run on fuel, timing, and trust. Break one, and the others start to fail. When leaders watch the sky and miss the ground, the next loss is tempo, and then it's reach.